Hi FPL managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video we're going to have a look at some differentials, some players that I've been researching that I think you need to know about, some very cheap and low ownership players that may enable you to look at some more premium players. I've picked 3 out, let's have a look at them. First one to have a look at then is Mateo Kovacic. Now he's not a player that I would normally have even considered looking at. He has so far this season though contributed 3 assists, 1 goal in his 5 games, so that's a goal contribution of 4 out of 5 matches. He is playing in that midfield role, and his output so far, goal involvement, has completely outpitched everything he's done in previous seasons. Last year he only got 1 assist, year before 1 goal, 3 assists. Then at Real Madrid he didn't really do it either in terms of matching these figures. But this year something different about him. The fact that he is getting 0.8 shots per game inside the box is quite encouraging. So every game he's more or less having a shot. He's having a shot outside the box as well, but it's a quality inside the box shots that I'm interested in. The fact as well that those fixtures, wow, they just look so good. And the real clincher is he's very lowly owned at 5.4 and his price is just 5.1. I don't think there's anyone else in the FPL game, any other player that for that price plays week in week out for such a good side and has such good fixtures. I think if someone was to offer me someone who had goal contributions of 4 out of 5 games, who plays in that Chelsea midfield every week, and then told me that they were only 5.1 million, I think I would be snapping their hand off. Kovacic in the past for Inter Milan has had, when he first burst onto the scene, he was scoring goals, he was playing more advanced, so he has got this in his armoury. It's just in the last few years that he has been playing a more withdrawn role, a more holding midfielder role, but Tuchel's given him a bit of a lease of life in that midfield, and he's really making the most of it. I think as a £5.1 million midfielder, as a way into that Chelsea side, he looks really good. I mean, if we also look at some of his statistics, like I say, over the last few seasons, these are over the whole season. So his extra expected goal involvement is 0.41. So his actual goal involvement is 0.8. So he's doubled his output. He's done twice as good as he perhaps should be. So he's overperforming. Suggests to me that he's not going to keep that up. And I don't expect him to keep it up. But if he continues along the trajectory of a 0.41, he's still such good value for 5.1. He just enables you to do other things with your side. And there's no one else for that price bracket that I think offers anything like that he does. Shots in the box, as you can see, in the box this is. Last 5 seasons, he only had 5 years ago, 7, 7, 4 and 4. Now you have to bear in mind that this isn't, last season was 4 in the first 5 games, or 7 in the first 5 games, 7 in the first 5. These are over the whole season. So something's changed in Mateo Kovacic's role in the side. He's potentially pushing much further forward. He's getting into positions where he's passing that last ball into Lukaku's feet. He is just becoming a really underrated player. Because of these figures and because of his lack of goal involvement, he's only been pitched at 5.1. He clearly should be more than that. I think he's a real bargain. The only reservation I have about him is he does take up a Chelsea slot in that midfield. So far he's been playing every game. You think how tight Chelsea are, you feel that even before he's walked onto the pitch, he's got 3 points. He's got 3 points just for that clean sheet potential. But 4 out of 5 games he's contributed, I think he looks really good. And if I'm not sure I'd break my team apart to bring him in, but if I'm looking for a cheap player to enable me to get premiums elsewhere, Mateo Kovacic has got to be someone that is worth talking about. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Another one, I don't think this is going to surprise too many people. Gallagher's been brilliant. His fixtures look a lot friendlier now. They've had such a tough start. And yet his goal expectancy, his goal involvement expected is 1.02. He's done really well so far this season. He's still really lowly owned. He's been on my watch list, 5.6 for a little while, but it's just because of the lack of their fixtures, and also Palace. I think they do have the stigma of they're not very attacking and not scoring goals, and that to some extent is still true. They've only got 5 and 5. They've had some really tough fixtures though. They've had Chelsea on the opening day. They just lost to Liverpool. They drew against West Ham. They beat Spurs, and what a great result that was. But we can't put that down to the fact that they're a weak side. They'd won 3 on the trot going into that game without conceding a goal. So Palace really took them to the cleaners. Even if it was against 10 men, they were still the better side in my opinion. Those fixtures turn in a couple of weeks' time. They look really nice. Gallagher for 5.6. I think, again, he's someone that I'll be really tempted on. All set pieces, he just looks brilliant. And again, he's just getting involved. And you'll see in a minute when we go through some more of his stats and comparing him against other players, he looks a really good prospect. Throwing it out there, guys, Mohamed Alisson got under the radar completely. Look at that ownership, 0.1. He's hardly owned by anyone in the entire game. His price is 5.5, not that attractive. Look at those fixtures, though. He's got 5 out of the next, what is that, 3, 4, 5, 7 games are green fixtures for Southampton. His expected goal involvement so far is 0.69. Shots inside the box, 2.67. To put that into context, Greenwood's only about 1.8. He is much more. He's getting great positions. He's shooting. He has goal this season, albeit against Newcastle. Southampton's fixtures have not been incredibly kind as well. They were away at Everton on the first day. Drew, as we know, at Manchester City at the weekend. Drew against Manchester United and West Ham. So they're no pushovers. They're one easier fixture, I suppose. One targeted fixture they had was against Newcastle, where he did score. In the meantime, he scored 3 also in the League Cup and for Norway. So he is in good goal scoring form. And since he's come back into the side from the wilderness, away in Celtic last season, Ralph Hasenhüttl has seemed to trust him, and he's getting involved and repaying him with kind. So he looks really nice, 5.5. Those fixtures, again, as a differential and someone who's very, very cheap, those fixtures can't be ignored. If I was going down the pink route, I'd say his price is very good. He's in form. Yes, he's scoring goals, albeit not in the Premiership, which is what we like. He's nailed on at the moment, and he's got kind fixtures. He seems to tick all of those boxes. If we compare all those players, this is shots in the box per 90 minutes. I've put Salah top 3.6 as a guide as to what the sort of the top premium player is going to be. Then we have an Alisson with 2.6. I'm ignoring outside the box. I want quality inside the box chances, and Alisson has had them. Greenwood, Gallagher just above him, Fernandes at 1.2, and then you've got Kovacic. Kovacic is hitting the same sort of numbers of inside the box as Ben Rama. But I think one thing I like about Kovacic is he's surrounded by such quality all over the park. He is, I think in the olden days of FPL, if I had a cheap player playing for a very good side, I would bring him in. Just on the virtue of being part of that side, he's going to pick up points every now and then. He's been so lowly priced because of his goal involvement, lack of it over the last few years. That's not true so far this season. Whether he still keeps playing and remains to be seen. Gallagher, there doesn't look to be any slowing down of him playing. He seems to be the main man talking to Palace fans and getting involved in everything. And Alisson, I think again, his place seems to be fairly fixed in a Southampton side that's picking up points all the time. Kind of fixtures coming up. Maybe it's time that he'll start to explode and score goals as well. Okay, guys. Having a look at all these things, I'm not suggesting you bring these players straight in. These are players that I'm really interested in. I am certainly interested in some of these when I'm downgrading players like a Mahrez. If I'm looking for alternatives, Greenwood, freeing up some cash to bring in a Lukaku or De Bruyne or something like that, you might need to scrape around and look for these 5.5, 5.6, maybe lower 5.1. And these players, particularly Kovacic, when I've looked at him, just looks brilliant. The more game weeks that go by, the more information we'll get, obviously, about them. But Kovacic, to me, looks great. So does Gallagher. Alisson, I think I need more data on Alisson before I would be prepared to go on it. But with people wildcarding, these types of players are going to enable you to get those premiums in. You will need to look for players like this. So these are alternatives to the likes of Gray. If you're springing Alisson at 0.1% and he's scoring and suddenly goes on a spree, wow. Okay, we could start seeing his price rising and also your rank shooting up. Okay, guys, I really hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you're new around here and you like this sort of content. We'll be coming out with a lot more. Hit that like button. In the meantime, take care.